Fantasy football fam, what's going on? This is Fantasy Football AF, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Devore, for hooking us up with some awesome craft beer. And if you guys want craft beer from Devore, go to Devore.com. Use that promo code ChatSports for $10 off your very first purchase. Y'all ready? Let's send it. The guy in my top waiver wire for the quarterback position, it's Joe Flacco. He's owned in 23% of leagues, which I get it. There's like mixed emotions. Like, oh, some people are like, oh, wow, Joe Flacco's only owned in 23% of leagues. And then there's other people who watch football and they're like, wow, he's owned in 23% of leagues. Those teams must be bad. So he plays the Saints this week, and the Saints are ranked 30th against quarterbacks. So for anybody that maybe has Aaron Rodgers, Rodgers is on a bye, you actually might be able to go out and get a guy like Joe Flacco, and you might actually be able to rely on him. The Saints are going to put up points. We know that. And Joe, shout out to Joe. I rip on Joe more than any player in the NFL. There's no doubt. I actually made my Twitter account specifically to rip on Joe Flacco when he signed that deal. That's my very first tweet. But Joe's been good. I think he's been motivated by a guy like Lamar Jackson. 9 touchdowns. He's not turning the ball over too much. He's got the Saints, which is a pretty good matchup. So, again, if you got a guy like Rodgers, don't be afraid to pick up a guy like Flacco. If you miss on Joe Flacco, here are 3 other options. Dak Prescott. Is this 2016? It might be. He looked really good this past week against the Jags. He's got the Redskins this week. Eli Manning. Yes, you could actually pick up a guy like Eli Manning because he's playing the Falcons. The Falcons are hot garbage against quarterbacks. They just gave up 395 yards, 4 touchdowns to Jameis Winston. And even though Eli Manning's arm is a wet, soggy noodle, he might actually have a decent week. And then Mitchell Trubisky going up against the Patriots. I'm not crazy about the matchup, but Trubisky's still a guy who's actually been pretty good with his options. So if you missed on those guys, here are some other ones. But I got a question for you. So I'm not really big into the script spelling bee, but I want you guys to use Eli Manning in a sentence. It can be any sentence that you want, and I want you guys to comment it below. So use Eli Manning in a sentence. For me, the sentence I'm going to use, Eli Manning is washed up. Guys, I like getting washed on this show, and I like to do it with Devore. I get lit, and I want you guys to go to Devore.com, use promo code ChatSports for $10 off your very first purchase. The thing that I love about Devore, sign-ups for free. So you guys are going to get $10 off your first purchase on beer, sign-ups for free, and you're going to get rare craft beers. That's 3 wins in my book. Shout out to Devore for sponsoring today's show. Let's head into some more running backs off the waiver wire. Peyton Barber. If anybody watched my show last week, sorry. I told you to pick up Ronald Jones, and that was wrong. So I apologize. Because Peyton Barber clearly played better than Rojo, and he looks like he's going to be the guy going forward. 13 carries, 82 yards. The 4 catches on 4 targets for 24 yards is what I really like. They play the Browns this week. The Browns have actually been pretty good defensively. They've actually been pretty good, but they have given up 7 rushing touchdowns. Now, 3 of those came against Melvin Gordon last week. I get it. But if Peyton Barber is going to be a guy who you could rely on to maybe get around 15 touches a game on an offense that's pretty good, their offense isn't so bad, but they're going to have to put up points because the defense sucks. So, if Peyton Barber's out there on your waiver wire, maybe you lost a guy like Marshawn Lynch because Marshawn's probably going to miss several weeks. So, go out and get you some Peyton Barber. But if you miss on him, you can go out and pick up my man, Plan B. Latavius Murray's got the Jets with Dalvin Cook dealing with injuries. Frank Gore, hey, shout out to Frank Gore. He keeps getting yards. He keeps spelling Kenyon Drake. If Drake's going to continue to fumble on the goal line, don't be surprised to see Gore get even more carries. And then Duke Johnson last week had 73 receiving yards. It's going up against the Bucs. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Also, the guy that's not on here, and please listen, Jalen Richard with Marshawn Lynch potentially out a few weeks. Go pick up Richard because the Raiders are going to have to pass because that defense is just an absolute train wreck. All right, I got a question for you guys. I love breakfast food. It's probably my favorite food, and I was talking to my dad about this today, and to be honest, when my dad and I sit down and eat breakfast, or I guess when we used to, I guess we haven't done that in a while, but I literally would put ketchup on my eggs, and he couldn't even sit in the same room with me. So I want to know from you guys, does ketchup belong on eggs? Heart for yes, because I think it does. I like flavor. I think it's good. Or no, wow face. And my dad, I know he's watching this right now, and he's giving me probably more than a wow face. He's probably giving me a finger. So does ketchup belong on eggs? Heart for yes, or wow face for no? I get wow faces all the time when I go out to clubs, when I wear my Miz and Main shirts, because these shirts are comfortable as F. They look good. They're stretchy. And chicks dig them too. So guys, I'm telling you right now, go to Miz and Main, okay? You're going to go to www.comfortable.af because these shirts are indeed comfortable as F. And go get yourself some Miz and Main shirts. It's just like a cheat code when you wear these. I'm telling you, chicks dig them. All right, next waiver wire, week 7 thing I got going on here. It's with my man Taylor Gabriel, and he's been really good for the Bears. Taylor Gabriel's been really good for the Bears. Let's not forget that he was cut by the Browns. The Browns are probably like, damn, man, what the hell was I thinking there? He plays the Patriots in week 7, and he was really good against the Dolphins last week. 5 catches on 5 targets for 110 yards. He's seen 12 targets in his last 2 games. 12 catches, 214 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yes, Taylor Gabriel. He's going up against the Pats in a game that I imagine they're going to be behind. Now, he's not Tyreek Hill, as Harris is looking at me, but he's still a guy who I think if he could get 6 or 7 targets, I think obviously that's going to be a guy who you could rely on because, well, Taylor Gabriel, he keeps getting targets, and that offense keeps moving the ball. So, if you miss on him, you can look at a guy like Chester Rodgers, you can look at a guy like Christian Kirk, or Willie Snead. I will say, I got the need for Snead, and if you look at the amount of targets that Snead's getting and the amount of receptions, hey, he's a reliable flex play at this point. So if you got some guys on buys, maybe a Devonta Adams, go out and get yourself some need for Snead. I think I screwed that one up, but whatever, right? I got a little trivia question for you guys. So please comment the answer below. Name the only team in the NFL that has 3 wide receivers with over 400 receiving yards. Can you think of it? The only team in the NFL that has 3 receivers with over 400 receiving yards. I'll let you think about it while I take a sip from my beer from DeVore. You got it? Once you get the answer, hit me up on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. Let's get into some tight ends because your boy loves himself a nice tight end. And the guy that I love this week is O.J.Howard. Now, he is owned in 45% of leagues, which is more than what I typically put on these shows. But over 50 receiving yards in 4 or 5 games this season. He plays the Browns this week, and last week against the Falcons, 4 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Now, Cameron Brate was a guy who you're probably going to see in my next little listicle here, but also he's a guy who was on the show last week. Find yourself somebody who loves tight ends like Jameis Winston, because Jameis, I don't want to say he just pounds tight ends, because I probably can't say that, but I just did, whatever. But if you miss on him, look at for a guy like C.J. Uzomah, Cameron Brate, Austin Hooper. Falcons are going to have to continue to put up points. Cameron Brate, he's just going to catch touchdowns. Even if he gets a target or 2, chances are it's going to be in the red zone. And when you're looking at tight ends, you always want to find guys, I think, who are going to find the end zone. And for me personally, when I'm playing on FanDuel, I'm looking for tight ends who are going to be in the end zone. And if you guys want to challenge me on FanDuel, this is what you all got to do, okay? You got to go to FanDuel.com/chatsports. And when you make a $5 on your very first deposit, see that right over there? You're going to get $20 for free. So $5 down, you get $20 for free. And if you think that you're smarter than me, challenge me. Hit me up, slide in my DMs at MitchellRenz365. Bring it. I want to see what you guys got. Go to FanDuel.com/chatsports.